What is going on, people? Leslie P. Chambers on behalf of the Kaiju Live Network coming at you with another figure review, or should I say a resin model kit review. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a long time coming. I mean, a lot of us have been asking for a 30 centimeter version of this particular monster, this particular kaiju. And after so many tumbles and potholes and dips and turns in the road, we finally have a proper 30 centimeter version of this popular 1970s kaiju, but I go into that momentarily. So without further ado, let's dive headfirst into this awesome resin model kit review. And today we take a look at the 30 centimeter resin model kit of the Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo of the awesome 1974 King Caesar, based off his super cool appearance in the awesome Godzilla film of the 1970s. 1974's Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. And as you can see, I have the beautiful model kit in all his glory. Yes, this is so great. And you know what? We're going to just skip all the pleasantries involving the packaging because, yes, there was packaging when it came to the kit because the kit came unassembled. But we're going to just dive headfirst into the backstory and go into the model kit itself because it's somewhat of a long backstory. Like you saw with the previous video of Space Godzilla, might want to get your favorite beverage or something, strap in because we have somewhat of a long backstory to talk about the road to get to this guy, you know what I'm saying? But before I do that, I want to give a shout out to 4 special people that helped make this resin model kit happen. First and foremost, Matt from Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo. He's the man behind Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo. Such an awesome human being, a great businessman, a model kit collector, and just an overall great human being. Secondly, I want to give a huge shout out to Jake Rebel of Monster Rage. As I understand it, he's the man behind this sculpt and this render of King Caesar. I want to give a huge shout out to him. Of course, my great friend Marcellus Winters, and I go in more detail about how he ties into this situation. And of course, finally, last and certainly but not least, the awesome Greg Betters from Betters Creation. He's the man who built and painted this model kit perfectly, I might add, but again, we'll get to that momentarily. And you know what? I'm going to throw my name into that situation because I did have a hand in making this happen, you know what I'm saying? But I'll explain about that momentarily. Now, personally, for me, as a collector, because, you know, I'm huge into X Plus. I've been huge into X Plus ever since, 2012 or 2011, you know what I'm saying? And my fascination of wanting to see a larger size King Caesar started with X Plus back in 2013 when they brought forth the 25 centimeter X Plus King Caesar in 1974. And that figure was so amazing and it would go down in history as one of the best 25 centimeter figures that they have ever done. It came with perked up ears, drooping ears, and a statue, you know what I'm saying? It will also get reissued a couple times. I think one came with the light up in his eyes that had the red eyes. And I think another one was reissued with a different paint scheme, along with the ears and stuff like that. They also released Mechagodzilla in 25 centimeters that same year in 2013, and they eventually got around to making the 25 centimeter 74 Godzilla. So you basically got the entire lineup in 25 centimeter scale, you know what I'm saying? But for the longest time, myself, along with a lot of other collectors of X Plus, been wanting them to do a bigger size version of King Caesar, namely in the 30 centimeter scale. And for the longest time, we waited, and nothing really has happened thus far at the time of this recording. Fast forward to the year 2021, 2022, that's when I got heavy into model kits. I started to divide my collecting interest between X Plus and model kits, right? And that's when I found Matt's Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo. And what fascinated me about Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo was the fact that a lot of the kits that he was doing was really more of the obscure kind. They weren't really the popular kaiju, but still they were popular enough where demand was there for them. You know what I'm saying? Characters such as the Rodan 1965 from Monster Zero, which was underrepresented in the marketplace. You know what I'm saying? Or the 2004 Hedra from Final Wars, you know what I'm saying? Even though he only showed up in the movie for 2 seconds, but still his render of the Final Wars Hedra is absolutely amazing. Or the GMK Baragon. Again, such a great, awesome rendition of that monster, all in 30 centimeter scale, by the way. Or the 91 Godzillasaurus from Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. Again, another monster, or at least interpretation of Godzilla that is not really represented that well, or that much, mind you. Or how about their 2004 King Caesar, you know what I'm saying? Which was a great rendition of King Caesar from that movie. And again, it was when I got that kit, I got my mind to wondering, you know what? If they can do an awesome job making that King Caesar look great, because honestly, he doesn't really look that great in the film. But if they can do a great job of making that kit and making that monster look great, then what can they do with a 1974 King Caesar? And I start to play around with it in my head, you know. Fast forward to 2023, and S Plus, go back to S Plus now, brought out the 1974 Godzilla and Mechagodzilla in the favorite sculptors line. And both those figures were taken from Monster Maker 28 Sculpts, right? And that was really cool because, again, that happened in 2023. Mechagodzilla came out earlier that year. I think Godzilla came out later that year. But the following year was 2024, the 50th anniversary of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, thereby the 50th anniversary of King Caesar's debut. And I thought for certain that, again, the big missing piece from that movie in 30 centimeter scale, as far as like S Plus is concerned, we got Godzilla, we got Mechagodzilla. The only thing was missing was King Caesar. And I thought for sure in 2024, S Plus would give us a 30 centimeter King Caesar. 2024 came and went, and we got nothing from S Plus as far as like King Caesar. So myself and Marcellus Winters, who are huge fans of Dot Mac and Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo, we went to Doc and say, you know what? Push this through. We need a 30 centimeter King Caesar in 1974. That's what we need. And we pushed that idea through to Doc, and he okayed it and got Jake Rebel to sculpt it. And it came up for pre-order, I want to say, in 2025. It started coming out into collectors' hands in 2025, going to 2026. I got my kit and sent it directly to Greg. Greg did his thing to make it so perfect. And that's how I got my hands on a 30 centimeter 1974 King Caesar. Because again, to my knowledge, the only other 30 centimeter King Caesar collectible of himself out there is another resin model kit from Resin Chef that came out, I want to say, several years ago. I forgot what year, but that's the only one that is like 30 centimeter scale. And honestly, when you see that kit all built and painted, it's not really a true 30 centimeter. Like he's like maybe like 10 or 11 inches tall. But this right here is a true 30 centimeter King Caesar. And it's a shame that, again, this monster does not have that many representations of him being in 30 centimeter scale. So if you want a proper 30 centimeter King Caesar 1974, look no further than this guy right here, you know what I'm saying? But we'll talk about size and detail momentarily. But that is the backstory of how we got this figure, you know what I'm saying? It is such an amazing, awesome, perfect rendition, if you will, of the 1974 King Caesar. So let's get up close and personal with this guy. Again, the sculpt for Monster Rage, Jake Rebel, he did a fantastic job. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. For those people who don't like tail stands, now I can understand that. Let's start with the tail stand first, because you need a tail stand. Because of his tail, the tip of his tail, that big fuzzy bush at the end of his tail, you need that to stabilize him. Because the last thing you want to do is not have the tail stand and have him fall down, because you need it. But at least the tail stand in particular, it's not the big, gray, bulky ones that we get from S Plus figures. It's like a slimmer one where you can hide it. Because when you display King Caesar, obviously you're not displaying him with the tail facing you. He's facing the wall, right? The tail is facing the wall. So you can hardly see this thing when you display it, you know what I'm saying? So again, for those people who don't like tail stands, it does kind of meet you in the middle, where it's not a big bulky one where it kind of distracts from the figure. Again, it's slim enough where, again, it stabilizes him, but it doesn't distract from the figure whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? So I want to get that out of the way as far as the tail stand. But The sculpt looks really, really good. And again, King Caesar is one of those monsters, kind of like the Gargantua, Santa in particular, where he has both mammal and reptilian type of design when it comes to his suit, you know what I'm saying? And King Caesar is no different, where you have like the scales like on his lower body, his legs, you know, whatever. Then you have to blend in with the fur and all that good stuff. And the way Jake Rebel sculpted this is the perfect synergy of both those parts, the reptilian and the mammal parts, you know what I'm saying? But he did a great job with the sculpt of the like I said, the reptilian parts of the scales, as far as like his legs and his arms and his feet, you know, whatever. Sculpted really, really, really well. The hair, my God, is really, really awesome. Again, sculpted perfectly in my opinion. And that's one thing you have to be mindful of if you're going to have this kit built and painted, whether you do it yourself or you hire somebody else to do it. Just be mindful of the hair, because as you can see here, he got hair dangling from his forearms, his elbows, his shins, the back of his feet, his chest, and there's some flowing on the back here, and they're like dangling a little bit. Just be very, very careful, because again, it is resin and it's prone to break off, especially in the position that the hair is. So just be mindful of that, you know what I'm saying? But once you get it all assembled, oh my God, it looks really, really, really good. The claws look great. The toenails look great. You know what I'm saying? The teeth sculpted really, really well. The head, oh my God, the face looks so amazing in terms of sculpt. The ears, my God, looks awesome. It also came with another set of ears, droopy ears, and you can display them how you want. You can display them with the droopy ears where his ears are down, or you can do what I did and have them perked up. I'm a perked up ear kind of guy when it comes to King Caesar, but if you prefer the droopy ears, there's nothing wrong with that, you know what I'm saying? But I opted for the perked up ears. But the sculpt looks great in terms of the head, ears, again, the hair, the reptilian parts of the scales, his toes, his hands, the bushy, the bushy fuzz at the end of his tail. Looks absolutely awesome. Now let's go with the paint job, and that's where my boy comes into play. Greg Betters from Betters Creations. Of course, he built the kit. Obviously, he put it together. He assembled it together. But it's the paint job that drives this thing home, as in my opinion, a perfect rendition of the 1974 King Caesar. I don't know how the hell Greg did it. I really don't. He can tell you better than I can, but I don't know how he was able to blend all this together with where he painted the scales and the hair especially. I don't know how he was able to do that, especially with resin or even with vinyl. I don't know how he was able to do that, but as you can see here, he did. He did a great job with the paint job of the hair, like I said, with the dangling parts on his arms, his forearms, his elbows, again, on the side of his shin, the hair on the back of his feet, you know, whatever, the big bush at the end of his tail, the hair dangling on his ears, you know, whatever, the back. Oh my God, the way he did it was so amazing. And again, it's a testament to how awesome he is as an artist. And in my opinion, he did a great job with the hair, perfectly, if you will. Even the eyes, like the eyes as well as the face here, my gosh, he painted really, really well. And in the eyes particular, I specifically asked him to paint the eyes. Yes, they were going to be red, right? Because that's how it was on the suit. But I wanted him to paint them where the eyes seemed like they were glowing. And he not only, again, he painted the eyeballs red, but I think he did a little bit of orange/yellow that he put at the interior of both eyes, where they look like the eyes are glowing. And he did a great job with that. It looks perfect, you know what I'm saying? So again, the paint job, my God, this thing is so great. And man, I cannot even be happier, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much it with up close and personal with the sculpt and the paint job. Again, Jake Rebel did his thing with the sculpt. Greg Better did his thing with the paint job. And in my opinion, you have, in my opinion, the most perfect representation of the 1974 King Caesar, more so than the Resin Chef, with all due respect to that one. But again, in terms of size, he is a good size. He is completely 30 centimeters tall. You know what I'm saying? So again, there's not too many 30 centimeter King Caesar 1974s out there in the market. But if you're on the hunt for one and you want the perfect one, go after Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo. You will not be disappointed. Just hit up Mac. He's easy to find on Facebook, or maybe you can find him through the Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo Facebook page, or hit him up on their website. They do have an official website. And so if you want this kit, hit him up. and either send it to Greg or maybe send it to Marcellus or any other great artists we have in our community, and they would definitely hook you up with, again, in my opinion, the quintessential 1974 King Caesar. Now, let's go into some size comparisons, and you know what? I hate to be heavy with the size comparison, but I'm so happy that I have this guy, and there have been some figures I wanted to pair him up with. So I got not one, not two, but three size comparisons. And in this first one, you know what? I'm going to just tease you with this. There are two other kings from the Showa era that I want to see how this King Caesar looks up against those two kings. And you probably know where I'm going with this. Without procrastinating, let's dive first to this first size comparison between the 30 centimeter King Caesar in 1974 from Galloping Ghost, the Roto Kaiju 30 centimeter King Kong 1962 from King Kong vs. Godzilla, and a 30 centimeter resin model kit of King Ghidorah from Vogue's Orient Hero series in this first size comparison with the three kings. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Okay, folks, here we are with the first size comparison, should I say, the size comparison involving the Showa era three kings. And yes, we all know that Godzilla is the king of the monsters. He's a king in that way. But I'm talking about the monsters from the Showa era that has the name and or the word king embedded in their names. You know what I'm saying? King Kong, King Ghidorah, and King Caesar. So let's go from left to right. That is the 30 centimeter vinyl model kit of the Roto Kaiju King Kong 1962 from King Kong vs. Godzilla. Of course, in the middle, that is a 30 centimeter King Ghidorah 1964 kit from Vogue's, based off his appearance from Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. And of course, the man of the hour, the 30 centimeter resin model kit from Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo of King Caesar 1974 from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. And as you can see here, they look great together. Again, they were never involved in the movie together. But me personally, as a fan of all three monsters and all three kings, I wanted to see how would they look, you know, being paired up together like this, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of makes me wonder, again, this never happened in a movie, but it's kind of like a fantasy scenario. Like, what would have happened, you know what I'm saying? I think in this case, King Kong and King Caesar would probably have to team up to fight King Ghidorah, you know what I'm saying? Once you pop down in the comment section, let me know what would happen if King Kong and King Caesar did fight King Ghidorah, you know what I'm saying? Or what would happen if King Caesar and King Kong fought one-on-one to determine who was the better king, you know what I'm saying? But between those two scenarios, again, put down in the comment section who do you think would have won those fantasy fights if they were to happen. But in the meantime, these are such great renditions of these three separate kings from the Showa era. Again, Roto Kaiju King Kong, the Vogue's King Ghidorah 1964, and of course King Caesar 1974 from Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo. You know what I'm saying? So that's it with the first size comparison. Again, I didn't want to not have this size comparison happen because, again, I'm a fan of all three kings. But it's very, very interesting. The more I look at it, the more I wish this could have happened in the Showa era. But again, that's what fantasy scenarios are for, ladies and gentlemen. So that's it with the first size comparison. So let's go with the second size comparison. And let's see how this 1974 King Caesar 30 centimeter resin model kit from Galloping Ghost stacks up with other non-Godzilla kaiju in 30 centimeter scale from the 70s era of Godzilla films in the second size comparison. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Okay, folks, here we are with the second size comparison, and yes, alongside the man of the hour in the middle, the 30 centimeter resin model kit of the 1974 King Caesar from Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo. I have pretty much all the other 70s era kaiju from the Godzilla films, with a certain robot that's kind of conspicuous by his absence, but you'll see him in the next and final size comparison. Let's go with all the other kaiju, shall we? And let's go from left to right. That is the X Plus 30 centimeter standard edition of Titanosaurus from Terror of Mechagodzilla. Next to him, that is the 30 centimeter standard edition of Hedra from Godzilla vs. Hedra, aka Godzilla vs. Smog Monster. Of course, King Caesar in the middle. Next to him, that is the 30 centimeter standard edition of Megalon from Godzilla vs. Megalon. Next to him, that is the 30 centimeter resin model kit from Monster Maker 28 of Gigan from Godzilla vs. Gigan. And of course, down there below him, the multicolored robot that we all know and love with the big smile on his face That's the standard edition X Plus 30 centimeter Jet Jaguar. And as you can see here, King Caesar looks really well up against the other kaiju here. Size-wise, again, one of the cool things about Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo, he is a true 30 centimeter model kit or figure. So he looks well when you stack him up against these other kaiju here, whether it's Ghidorah, he looks great up against him, Titanosaurus, he looks great up against him, Megalon, Jet Jaguar, Gigan, blah, 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 blah. Even though they were not in a film together, it still is nice. Again, if you're a fan of that era of Godzilla films as well as the monsters, this would be a great size comparison, at least a comparison in general between King Caesar and the other kaiju. And when you look at the designs of the monster, that's one thing I love about the 70s era of films when it comes to Godzilla. It's my favorite era of films, mind you. But the biggest thing, one of the biggest things I love about that era is the monster designs, you know what I'm saying? Where the 60s you can say has somewhat of a realistic design when it comes to their monsters. They were more so dinosaurian, whether it's Rodan 1964 or Baragon 1965, Gorosaurus 1967, Ebra 66, Kamunga 67. You know what I'm saying? The only oddity or abnormal monster you could say from the 60s is probably King Ghidorah. And not even probably, he was an oddity or an abnormal monster. Gabra can fall into that category to a lesser extent. But the 70s era were more so with the oddities, with the abnormal, with the strange, with the extraordinary designs. They were all cool, but they weren't the standard. They weren't the norm. Again, Hedra, you know what I'm saying, goes without question. Megalon or Gigan, whatever. King Caesar as well as Titanosaurus, they're more so of normal type of designs when it comes to the monsters, you know what I'm saying? But I think that's what makes them stand out because they are normal in an era full of oddities. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you pop into the comment section and let me know. Who do you think had a cool design from the 70s era of Godzilla films that was not Godzilla? You know what I'm saying? But it wouldn't surprise me if King Caesar is at the top of that list. So that's it with the second size comparison. So let's go with one more size comparison, the final size comparison. And let's bring up the other monsters from the same film that King Caesar is in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 1974 with the 30 centimeter Godzilla from the Favorite Sculptors line, courtesy of X Plus, as well as Mechagodzilla from X Plus from the Favorite Sculptors line in this final size comparison. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Okay, folks, here we are with the final size comparison. And yes. My God, you have no idea, ladies and gentlemen. As a huge fan of this movie and of these monsters, this is what I've been wanting to make happen for a long time. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Finally, in 30 centimeter scale of all three monsters that fought in the epic final battle of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 1974, and again, alongside the King Caesar 1974 resin model kit from Galloping Ghost, I have both Godzilla and Mechagodzilla, courtesy of the X Plus Favorite Sculptors line that I mentioned earlier, that were taken from Monster Maker 28 kits. And as you can see here, this is perfect. You can't get more perfect than this. Oh my God, the scaling, the detail between all three looks exactly like the movie, in my opinion. Again, we got the 25 centimeter scale complete with King Caesar, Mechagodzilla, and Godzilla. Now we have the 30 centimeter line complete. Again, as I mentioned earlier, they gave us Godzilla, they gave us Mechagodzilla in 30 centimeter scale, but the one big component that was missing was King Caesar. And now, thanks to the fine folks of Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo, aka Mac, as well as Jake Rebel, it is no longer a pipe dream. It is no longer wishful thinking. It is a reality. And as you can see, this is the reality, you know what I'm saying? Even when you have King Caesar up against Mechagodzilla himself, that looks well. The sizing is great. It's perfect, you know what I'm saying? Looks so awesome. Or if you have King Caesar up against Godzilla, that looks great, you know what I'm saying? So this is so great. I'm so happy, you know what I'm saying? So that's it with the final size comparison, again, between all three monster combatants from the final battle in the 1974 film. I'm sorry if I drowned the figure review and size comparisons, but you have to realize I am so excited to finally get this kit into my possession. You know what I'm saying? Again, as a huge fan of King Caesar from the movie, I've been wanting this for a long time. And even though the size comparisons, again, like the first one between King Kong and King Ghidorah, of course, that never happened. But again, I've always wanted to see what would happen if those three monsters got together. And then in the second one, you saw him up against the other 70s kaiju in 30 centimeter scale. That looked great, especially when you compare the cool, unique designs of the monsters. That's great. And now here, with the proper monsters that he fought in the film, this is perfect. You know what I'm saying? So again, thank you to the fine folks at Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo. Because again, the currency of S Plus, we got Mechagodzilla, we got Godzilla, but again, the final component to complete that was King Caesar. Right now, we finally got it. And so that is so awesome. Yes, yes, yes. So let's go with my final thoughts of the 30 centimeter resin model kit from Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo of the awesome 1974 King Caesar. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Okay, folks, I'm back with my final thoughts of the 30 centimeter resin model kit from Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo of the awesome 1974 King Caesar from his epic appearance from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 1974. 10 out of 10. It is great. It is perfect in my opinion. The sculpt is great. The paint job is great. Again, between Jake Rebel and Greg Betters from Betters Creation, they did their thing on this. I could not ask for anything better. You know what I'm saying? And again, in my opinion, this is the best King Caesar collectible, in my opinion, that has ever been made. With all due respect to the Bandai Creation. With all due respect to that thing. But in my opinion, again, look at this thing, like the size, the detail, the way the hair is sculpted, the way the hair is painted, everything about this thing, the eyes, the teeth, just an awesome, and again, quintessential rendition of the 1974 King Caesar. It took us a while to get here, but we finally got one. Again, it rivaled the S Plus. In my opinion, I think it's better than the S Plus 25 centimeter. And that is a great figure. Again, one of the best 25 centimeter figures S Plus has ever made. But in my opinion, this is so superior. It is superior in every single way. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention when when I was doing up close and personal with the kit earlier, I forgot to mention because again, it came with 2 sets of ears. It came with the perked up ears that you see embedded on the figure now, and it came with droopy ears. So you can have that option where if you want to have the figure built, with the perked up ears or the droopy ears. But Greg did something very ingenious. Instead of, again, because I opted for the perked up ears, that meant that the droopy ears were not going to be used, right? But he did use it. He didn't want to let that resin go to waste. So what he did, he applied the ears, and I think he attached them to both of his shoulders here to give him more bulk. But he painted so well that you can hardly even tell that they're actually extra earpieces. You know what I'm saying? Once again, the awesomeness and the talent that Greg Betters has from Betters Creation is the reason why. If you have a model kit and you need it built and painted for you, look no further than that guy. Because again, we look at the shot right here, you can hardly even tell where they are unless you really look really closely. But the way he put it together and painted it to make it flow seamlessly with the other hair on the body, did a great job. A perfect job, if you will. And as you can see here, this is the entire full lineup of that film of 1974's Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. It even had to throw Anguirus in there because, you know, Anguirus is in the film too. I know there are a lot of Anguirus fans out there that we saw the previous size comparison with Mechagodzilla, King Caesar, and Godzilla. I know some of y'all out there were like, well, where's Anguirus? He was in the movie too. Yes, he was. So I want to throw the guy a bone and have him here in my final thoughts portion of the video. But again, all 30 centimeter figures and at least model kits or whatever, and they all look well together size-wise, again, detail-wise, paint job-wise. Because again, alongside Godzilla and Mechagodzilla, who are Monster Maker 28, sculpted figures or taken from their sculpts, the Anguirus is also a Monster Maker 28 sculpt. You know what I'm saying? But again, you have top-notch sculpts between Monster Maker 28, Galloping Ghost. You can't get no better than this. You know what I'm saying? And again, I have kept y'all here long enough with the multiple size comparison, so I'm not really trying to go into more of a elongated backstory about why I love King Caesar. Whatever. I kind of did that for the majority of the video, but I'll just say this monster is so awesome, and it's a shame that he has not been more represented in terms of collectibles over the years. Yes, we got Galloping Ghost, we got Resin Chef, we got Bandai Creation, S Plus, you know what I'm saying? But it's a shame that during his 50th anniversary a couple of years ago, there was very little fanfare involving him, you know what I'm saying? And that was the reason why Marcellus and I pushed the idea to Doc to make this happen. So in my opinion, if you're looking for the best, quintessential, if you will, I know I'm overusing that word, but it's a word that is used appropriately because it applies. If you're looking for the best rendition of the 1974 King Caesar in 30 centimeter scale, or perhaps ever, look no further than this guy right here. Yes, Yeah, so that pretty much concludes my review of the resin model kit, 30cm resin model kit from Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo of the awesome 1974 King Caesar, based off his super cool appearance from the epic 1970s Godzilla film, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 1974. You have any questions, highly down in the comment section. Hit me on Facebook, and I am on Instagram. If you have any questions about how you can acquire this kit, please hit at me and I will get the information to you as soon as possible. But if you do want this kit, just hit up Matt. Again, he's on Facebook, or you can find him through the Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo Facebook page or the official website. You know what I'm saying? Holler at him, talk to him. I'm sure he can get that kit to you. And if you need somebody to build and paint it for you, you can look at Greg Betters. Again, as you can see here, he's done a great, phenomenal job with that. Or Marcellus Winters, or other great artists in our community. But the keys, get the kit first, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed, especially if you're a fan of this awesome monster from the 1970s. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long time coming. It's been a long road to get here, but after waiting for S Plus, we got tired of waiting, and now Galloping Ghost has come through for us, and I cannot thank them enough for that. Yes, yes, yes. So the reviews are still coming, ladies and gentlemen, right here exclusively to the Kaiju Live Network. And you know what? We're going to stick with the 70s with the next one, with my review of the Giga Brain Zone Fighter. Yes, that will be the next video coming here exclusively to the Kaiju Live Network, and I can't wait to get that out for y'all, so please stay tuned for that. In the meantime, again, get this kit. Not now, not right now, but right now. Stop what you're doing, or at least wait till the video's over and then get the kit. But again, hit up Mac, hit up Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo, and get you this awesome kit, and you would not be disappointed. So, ladies and gentlemen, I finally give to you the resin model kit of the 30cm 1974 King Caesar, courtesy of the fine folks at Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo, from his epic appearance from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 1974. Yes, yes, yes. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see y'all again on this figure move review. All right? Y'all take it easy. Get the kit. Get the kit. It is awesome. Get the kit. Honor the king from Okinawa. Yes, I'm done. Bye.